Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 4 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 4 math and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter patterns and sequences. The lessons we're going to cover today are find the next shape in repeating pattern, complete a repeating pattern, make a repeating pattern, find the next drawing the drawing patterns of shapes. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Then I'm on grade 4 math. Let's just start with the lesson. Chapter we're on right now is patterns and sequences. Let's just start with the lesson that is find the next shape in repeating pattern. What shape comes next? The square, circle and square, circle and square. So the pattern repeats itself, that is a circle and square. Here we have a circle. So the next one in the pattern is, the last one is circle. The next one in the pattern is square. So the pattern repeats these shapes over and over. The next one is square. Let's just start with the test questions. What shape comes next? That is triangle, circle, triangle, circle. So after a triangle, the next shape in the sequence is circle. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is a circle. What shape comes next? The next shape in the sequence is triangle. Option number 2 is the correct option. That is a triangle. What shape comes next? That is a triangle, sorry, square and circle, and they keep repeating themselves. So after the square, the next one in the sequence is circle. It is option number one is the correct option. What shape comes next? The next shape in the sequence is triangle. Option number two is the correct option. That is a triangle. What shape comes next? So which is the correct option? Triangle it is. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself. And today, let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is Complete a repeating pattern. Complete a repeating pattern. Use the shape to complete the repeating pattern. The shape has circle and triangle that keep repeating itself. So the next one in the sequence is circle and triangle. Let's just start with the test questions. Use the shapes to complete the pattern. So which is the next shape in the pattern? Circle, triangle, circle, triangle. So the next one in the sequence is circle, then a triangle. So option number one is the correct option, that is circle and triangle. Use the shapes to continue the pattern. So square and triangle, then square, triangle. So they keep repeating themselves. So the missing one. Triangle, square. Option number two is the correct option. The next one in the sequence is triangle, square. Option number two is the correct option. Use the shape to continue the pattern. Circle, square, circle, square. So here you have a circle. So the next one in the pattern is square and then again circle. So option number that is option number two, square and circle. Option two is the correct option. Use the shapes to continue the pattern. The next one is circle and triangle. Option number two is the correct option. That is circle and triangle. Use the shapes to continue the pattern. The next one in the pattern is circle and square. Option number 2 is the correct option, circle and square. Use the shapes to continue the patterns, which is the next one in the pattern. Triangle and square. Option number 2 is the correct option, triangle and square it is. Use the shapes to continue the pattern. Triangle, square, triangle, square. So we have square. Then the next one is triangle and square. Option number 2 is the correct option. Use the shape to continue the pattern. The next one in the pattern is triangle and square. Another same question actually. Use the shapes to continue the pattern. That is triangle and square. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to the next lesson. The next lesson is make a repeating pattern. Use the shapes to make an A-B pattern. So the shape is AB shape means that is square and sorry, circle and square, circle and square. Let's just start with the test questions. Use the shape to make an AB pattern. Okay, square triangle, square triangle, square triangle. Option number one is the correct option because they are repeating in the same pattern. So option number one is the basically AB pattern means they keep repeating themselves in a specific pattern, right? So option number one is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Okay, let's just see triangle, square, square, triangle. No, that is not the correct option. They keep repeating themselves in the same pattern, right? Triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. Option number two is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Square, triangle, square, triangle, square, triangle, square. Option number one is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Circle, square, circle, square, circle, square. Option number one is the correct option. They keep repeating themselves in the same pattern, so that is option number one. Triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle. No, that is not the correct option because here we have circle, 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 triangle, circle, triangle, circle. Option number two is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Triangle, square, triangle, square. Option number 2 is the correct option, not 1. Because here we have square, square. Option number 2 is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Circle, square, circle, square, circle, square. Option number 1 is the correct option. Triangle, circle, triangle, circle. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson. Okay, let's just do the rest of the two. Okay, use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Option number 1 is the correct option. We keep repeating them in the same pattern, that is circle, square. Option number 1 is the correct option. Use the shapes to make an AB pattern. Option number 2 is the correct option. Okay, we are done with the lesson. Let's just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is that is find the next row From the next row is a growing pattern of shapes. Okay, what row comes next in the pattern? So just look at the pattern, how the pattern is going. A square and triangle, then two squares and triangle. So that means you have only one triangle, but the squares are increasing by one every time. So the next one is one, two, three, four, five squares and one triangle. Let's just start with the test questions. What row comes in the next pattern? So let's just see how the pattern is growing and what shapes are in the next slide. Circle, triangle. So we have two circles. That means that every next line, circles are increasing, but triangle is only one. So here you have one, two, three, four circles. So in the next line, we have five circles and one triangle. So circle, circle. Option number one is the correct option. There are five circles and one triangle in the next row. What row comes next in the pattern? Okay, so that is circle, square. Then we have two circles and square. So the next row has five circle and a square. Option number two is the correct option. That is five circles and square. Option number two is the correct option. What row comes next in the pattern? So which is the correct option? That is one square and triangle. The next one in the row is five squares and one triangle. Option number one is the correct option. One, two, three, four, five squares and one triangle. Option number one is the correct option. What row comes next in the pattern? So which is the correct option? So the next one is five circles and one triangle. So option number one is the correct option. What row comes next in the pattern? The next one in the pattern is five circles and one triangle. Option number two is the correct option. What row comes next in the pattern? Option number one, two, three. Option number one is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself here today. So we were working on grade 4 math. The chapter we were working on is patterns and sequences. The lessons we have covered today are find the next shape in the repeating pattern, complete a repeating pattern, make a repeating pattern, find the next row in a growing pattern of shapes. So please make sure before the next session you can complete all the practice questions for the lessons we just did. That is your homework until next session. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live chat button. Tutors are available there to help you. Or either you can write down the question in the chat box. I'm here to answer all your questions and confusions if you have any. So any questions? No questions? Okay, then that's all for today.